You're listening to Gaming Buzz, your source for information and entertaining discussions about video games for video game enthusiasts. With your hosts, Jacob, Darien, and Christian, all huge nerds who can never have too many games. Now, let's get this started.
Hello and welcome to episode 7 of Gaming Buzz. My name is Jacob and I'm here with Darien.
Hello.
And Christian.
Hi.
Now that the holidays are over and all that madness is done, I can officially say that none of us got a console for Christmas. And it made me a little bit sad. I mean, I didn't expect anyone to get me a console, but I would have liked it. Don't you guys agree?
Yes.
But now that the holidays are done, I feel comfortable buying myself a new console since I know no one is planning on getting me one as a gift. So I thought it would be cool if we went down the current generation consoles and talked about their pros and their cons to help us and our listeners decide what console they should be buying. So we're going to be taking a look at the PlayStation 4, Sony's newest console, the Xbox One, Microsoft's newest console, and the Wii U, Nintendo's newest console. We're going to be comparing their features, their games, to see which one would be the best option to buy. Why don't we start with the most important aspect of a console, the games. So let's take a look at the exclusive games that each console brings to the table, the ones that you can only play on that console.
Now, I know for the Xbox One, what I really liked was Tomb Raider 2.
What is the actual title? Rise of the Tomb Raider?
Yes, DLC edition.
You mean microtransaction edition?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
Pay to win.
Yeah, the game has hundreds of microtransactions in it. And from what I hear, you can definitely play the game without them, but it's more enjoyable after you've paid out a couple bucks for different cards, which really makes me sad and very, very scared for the gaming industry as a whole.
And the thing with that game, it's only a timed exclusive, so it's only on Xbox One right now, but it's going to be put on PS4 and PC later on.
Actually, I'm pretty sure that by the time this episode airs, it will be available on PC. Isn't it exclusive? Yes and no? At this current moment, it's a decent reason to get an Xbox One. It's a good game, just has some negative elements.
Personally enjoyed the first one, but I don't think there'd be a reason for me to get the Xbox One.
What are some other good Xbox One exclusive games?
Obviously, Halo 5. Am I right?
Yeah, whenever Microsoft comes out with a new console, people are like, oh, when is Halo coming out? Halo is one of the biggest reasons why people own Xbox systems.
I know a few people who only own an Xbox for Halo, and then they own like different consoles just for other games, and they only have Halo on Xbox.
What about a more interesting title called Ori and the Blind Forest?
Now, I have heard of Ori. I haven't played it, but I've seen some screenshots, and it looks gorgeous. It's a downloadable only title, and it looks really neat.
I have personally played it. My brother actually owns an Xbox One, and he has it, and I played it, and it's very interesting for the gameplay. Right now, I don't know, because I only play for a few minutes. The game, it's very interesting, all right, and I really like it. I think that's a good reason. If you really like platformers like I do, it's a puzzle platformer, and the story is also very nice.
It reminds me a lot of the game Limbo, except it's in color. Or you could even draw some comparisons with the game Braid, since that's a puzzle platformer. But it's definitely one of the really unique titles on the Xbox One right now. And I think the art style is wonderful.
It does look very nice.
Now, another game that's kind of unique on the Xbox One is Sunset Overdrive, which, really cool game, but it was hyped up too much.
Yeah, the game definitely looked really nice, but I think that it was underhyped when it came out. Like it had the force behind it, but as soon as it came out, people stopped talking about it.
I did play Sunset Overdrive a couple of times, and here were my thoughts on it. The gameplay is very fast and very fun for a while until you realize it's very, very repetitive. The art style is absolutely phenomenal and really shows what the next generation of consoles can do. You know what my biggest complaint about the game was?
What is it?
The writing. The writing of the game was so cringeworthy bad. It felt like I was watching a Disney Channel sitcom while playing a zombie survival game. It's that bad. Oh, I have nightmares about the dialogue in that game.
Yeah, I definitely want to avoid games that have that kind of dialogue. But at least the game looks nice.
Now, Mr. Racer Guy,
Yes.
how's Forza 5, the exclusive racing game on the Xbox One?
It's absolutely spectacular. You've got a slew of hundreds of cars, and they took a lot of work into simulating paint and getting it so, like, the environments look really beautiful, and the cars handle very nicely, and it's just one of the car lovers' dreams. I mean, it's not a Gran Turismo by any chance of how much like love and passion was put into the cars, but this game you can feel like a motorsport. Like, it is amazing.
I did hear, though, that Forza 5 on the Xbox One had less content than Forza Horizons. On the Xbox 360, there were less cars and less tracks available at first, and then they released all of them as DLC. That kind of turns me off from the game, but I'm not a racing guy, so I don't know.
It's okay. I mean, it's nice to see more content trickle in, but Nintendo did that with Splatoon, so I'm all okay with that.
But the difference is free DLC versus paid DLC.
At least it's not too expensive.
Yeah, I suppose. But it shouldn't be there at all, in my opinion.
Yeah, if the developer really cared about their consumer, they would be like, hey, you bought the base game, so let's just give you all this stuff.
But that's not how the industry makes money these days. We could complain for 7 hours about DLC, but it's not going to help anything.
I think it's all dependent on a few factors. Like, if it's completely brand new stuff, or really, like, hard to make crafted stuff, like new stories, it should be really what you pay for.
Why don't we talk about the exclusive games on the Xbox One's biggest competitor, the PS4?
Man, I tell you, Bloodborne, for me, is a console seller.
I've seen a lot of gameplay of Bloodborne, and it definitely seems like a next-generation game. The amount of detail that the game provides is absolutely jaw-dropping, and it looks fun. I have seen myself, and I've heard from other people that it's not as hard as, say, Dark Souls or Dark Souls 2, but them graphics and that gameplay and the environment.
It still looks pretty brutal, too.
Oh, yeah. That's not saying it's an easy game or anything, but I think it might be a little bit more forgiving than Dark Souls.
I do agree. But the only difference is it's more in front combat instead of like in Dark Souls you can just attack from all the way from far away with like magic or bows. Bloodborne is more like up front, take them down and keep going.
One thing I noticed was when I see playthroughs of the game, I don't see a whole lot of blocking being done, which, if I recall when playing Dark Souls, 50% of what you do is standing there and blocking.
That is true. I do that also, but I usually like to parry, but that's a different story for another time. Yeah, Bloodborne, it's more, like I said before, it's more up front, so you're more active against fighting monsters. So you have like usually a pistol or any other hand weapon, and then you have like a sword, and usually your weapons combine to make a bigger sword much stronger.
It definitely looks like a game that I would really like to get into because the combat just looks really nice and it flows really nice.
Of all the games that we're talking about today, Bloodborne stands out as the next generation experience, which is really cool that it stands above the rest. But it's kind of odd because other generations, when you had brand new titles, all the games that were coming out were revolutionary, huge things that made you drop your jaw and go, wow.
I think this generation is kind of hard to do that because it was kind of a small step graphically from the last generation. but now it's easier to pull it off because you have a little bit better hardware to use?
I think that's a pretty good assumption. Bloodborne does show that if a developer is willing to put enough effort into it, they can make those wow experiences.
Most definitely.
Another interesting exclusive we can talk about on the PS4 is Uncharted, the Nathan Drake Collection, which is an HD remastering of Uncharted 1, 2, and 3 from the PlayStation 3. And I don't know. If you've played any of the Uncharted games on PlayStation 3 before, skip it. It's not worth buying. When you see stills of the game comparing the PS3 version to the PS4 version, they're almost identical. There really isn't that much of a difference. So if you've played through them already, it's not worth going back and playing them again unless you really want to replay them. But if I'd do that, I'd just go and play the PlayStation 3 versions again and not have to deal with a 50 gigabyte install on my PlayStation 4.
Now, what I know, at least for the first game, they fixed a few of the issues that it had.
That is true. The first one is probably the only one who really needed an update. But 2 and 3 were so good at the time and they're so advanced graphically that they can't really get that much better, even with PlayStation 4 hardware.
This collection might be the way that I actually get into this series, because I've never played it on PS3, and I plan on getting a PS4, so this series remake looks really good.
It is a good idea for someone who hasn't played them. But like I said, if you've played them before, it's the exact same games. You don't want them again. And the same could be said about some of the other remasters on the PlayStation 4. You've got, from the same company, Naughty Dog, The Last of Us Remastered, which is in the same boat, barely any different from the original version.
I'd have to say that a lot of the remasters on PS4 from PlayStation 3 are quite lackluster.
It's not that they're bad or anything, it's just that how can you make them that much better?
Add microtransactions.
Please don't. It's really odd, though, because The Last of Us came out in 2013, and The Last of Us Remastered came out in 2014. How crazy is that we have an HD-er version of a game a year later?
It blows my mind.
That didn't happen before in the past. You didn't have a game come out for the Nintendo 64 in 2000, and then in 2001 had a GameCube remaster of it. But it kind of does make sense. You know, a lot of developers say they've been doing the remasters because a lot of people are getting into gaming now that weren't into it in the PS3 and Xbox 360 era, and they're giving them a way to experience those games. But really, I think it's just a cheap way for them to make some extra cash.
Isn't The Last of Us have microtransactions, right? Remastered.
Only for its online multiplayer.
Yeah.
Unlike Rise of the Tomb Raider, which has them for its single-player campaign.
Yuck.
So what about Yakuza 0? That sounds fun.
Yakuza 0 is an interesting one. It's actually a 2012 PlayStation 3 game that never came over to America. It never was imported in the Western world by developers, so the only way you could play it is on a Japanese PlayStation 3. Yakuza 0 is now available in the West on PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4, and it obviously looks and plays better on the PlayStation 4. And it's a good game. If you haven't played a Yakuza game before, they're excellent. A lot of people say it's like a Japanese version of Grand Theft Auto. I wouldn't stretch that far. But if you've played Sleeping Dogs before, or any of the Shenmue titles, very similar to that, but with a lot more detail and a really gripping story.
Another game on the PS4 that's actually really cool and fun is Akiba's Trip. It came out on the PlayStation Vita and PlayStation 3, but those games have so many issues on those consoles that the definitive version to play is the PlayStation 4.
There are actually a lot of games on the PlayStation 4 that are originally on the Vita or the PlayStation 3. A good one to mention that recently came out was a game called Tearaway Unfolded, which is a reimagining of Tearaway for the PlayStation Vita, one of the must-have games on the system. on the PlayStation 4 using the PlayStation 4's gimmicks instead of the Vita's. So instead of a touchscreen, you have controller usage using 6-axis or the touchpad.
And also to mention, Tearaway is made by the same developers as Little Big Planet.
Yeah, so it's a fun, creative, happy game that you can customize to your heart's content. Another game that is getting the PlayStation 4 treatment from the Vita is Gravity Rush.
Ooh, don't even get me started on how great that game is.
Yeah, it's a very excellent game. Kind of hard to classify like what genre it is, though.
It feels like an action-adventure, open-world
Fly around.
puzzle. I don't even know what to call it.
It's very odd, but very fun and very creative. And now it's getting a sequel on PlayStation 4.
The only thing that bummed me out is the PlayStation Vita version has a few chapters that you have to buy after you beat the story. Kind of bummed me out, but what can you do? But they do, in the remaster, they're going to include all of the DLC in the full package.
Which is a good step in the right direction.
I've been noticing this with many PlayStation Vita ports to the PlayStation 4.
Both the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4 have some really, really good exclusives, but their big draw are the third-party titles, games like your Call of Duties or your Maddens for your mainstream crowds, or games that are on both systems like Metal Gear Solid 5. But the Wii U doesn't have third-party support, like, at all. So Nintendo has to rely on their first-party games to sell the system. So why don't we talk about some of those?
Well, first of all, Nintendo makes super high-quality first-party games. And one of the ones that came out in 2015 was Splatoon, which I feel like is one of the strongest system sellers.
I'm not that big of a fan of Splatoon. I know we've talked about it several times before, but I definitely see why a lot of people love the game.
It was a system seller for me because I know I bought the Splatoon box for the Wii U with Mario Maker when it came out. Which reminds me, Mario Maker is also a good reason to get a Wii U.
Oh, now you're talking my language. A while back, we posted some of our Mario Maker levels on our Facebook page and our Twitter page, and that just shows how much we love Mario Maker. I have not put the game down. I've played it at least once a week since I got the game. I'm always coming up with new ideas for levels and just trying to have a good time.
So how you like my latest installment to Mario Maker?
Oh, it's torture. We'll post that one too. Oh, if anyone out there can beat all of Christian's levels, send us a couple screenshots of yourself with all the flags for every single mission he's done, and we will feature you on Facebook and say you're the king of beating Mario Maker levels made by the troll.
Also, the game has a steady flow of updates, and with the tools, there's so many tools that have been added to the game, I get a little bit lost, and I'm just kind of pushed the game back. I'm just like, there's so many tools to my disposal, I don't know what to do anymore.
You're just not creative enough like Christian and I are.
I'm creative in the way that I don't like preset tools. So
Okay then.
yes.
But you know what's a very great game to buy? This might appeal to Darien more. Mario Kart 8. That's a very nice game to play with your friends until they leave you because you red-shelled them.
It's both a very trolly game and it's beautiful at the same time. I've played PlayStation 4 games and Wii U games. Mario Kart 8 comes so close to looking like a PlayStation 4 game, it's not even funny. They use hardware in this Wii U that's not that powerful, and they can pull off such mastery.
Not to be Mr. Negative again, but I kind of don't really like Mario Kart 8. I'm more of a classic Mario Kart kind of guy. The last Mario Kart game I really enjoyed was Double Dash on the GameCube. I think the physics are way different than what they used to be, and it's kind of jarring for me. Also, I'm not a fan of the kart customization because it kind of gives an uneven edge to more experienced players who know what they're doing.
Well, if you don't like the kart customization, just set a standard vehicle or a pipe frame vehicle, because then you can get either an N64 look or the current modern look.
That's always an option, but I think the part of it that I like the least is the battle mode.
I have never touched battle mode except twice. I got the game, I went online and I was like, oh yeah, battle mode. I already watched reviews and got to hear about how bad it was. I had to see it for myself. This battle mode, if the next Mario Kart follows this formula, I might just say no more battle mode Mario Kart. Just take the feature out.
Which is really sad because looking at other Mario Kart games, that was the best part of the game, hands down. I have so many memories of playing Mario Kart DS and fighting each other on top of a giant DS. That was the coolest thing ever.
And it was great when they added bots in that game. It was such a step forward for the series, because then you didn't have to have friends to play battle mode, which is a selling point of the game by itself.
You know, honestly, I wonder if they just ran out of time and weren't able to program stages for battle mode, so they just recycled all of the normal tracks.
Well, if you look at how beautiful the game looks already, I think it was probably a time constraint.
I hate battle mode. I just played it once and that's it. I'm like, I'll quit. I can't play this. It's not fun.
Come over to my house and play some Mario Kart Double Dash with me.
Play it on top of the GameCube. That's like one of the best ones. And then there's that mansion. But we're talking about Wii U right now.
Gaming Buzz. We're gonna need a whole lot of lives.
We're going to take a quick break from our discussion to bring you this week's Gaming Buzz news update. Mojang Studios, now part of Microsoft, has announced that their worldwide phenomenon Minecraft will be receiving a new version called Minecraft Education Edition. This version of Minecraft will feature tools to help educators use Minecraft in schools, such as screen sharing, streamlined sharing functions, and a system to allow educators to track their students in the Minecraft world. Minecraft Education Edition will be available as a free trial this summer. Microsoft also had some interesting news this week. Their Xbox One system will receive an update in February that will add functions to the home screen. These functions include being able to reorganize the pins on the home screen, a gamer score leaderboard, and the ability to easily watch your friends' Twitch streams. The update is available right now to preview program users. The Supreme Court of the United States of America has announced that they will hear Microsoft's appeal in a lawsuit on the build quality of the Xbox 360 and its tendency to scratch game discs. The lawsuit was first filed in 2007. The Supreme Court will be judging whether the case can be filed as a class action lawsuit or not. And finally, the fundraising group Games Done Quick ran a charity live stream event from January 3rd to the 10th that raised money for cancer research by speedrunning video games. This week, the organization announced that they raised a record-breaking amount of money during this time, a total of $1.2 million. For more gaming news, check out gamingbuzz.com. And now, back to our discussion.
Gaming Buzz. They're here to kick ass and chew bubble gum. And they're all out of gum.
Talking about Wii U, obviously we got to talk about the best game that everybody mostly has, Smash Brothers.
What do we even have to say about Smash Bros? It's Smash Bros. If you haven't played Smash Bros, go play Smash Bros. End of story. Next game, Rodeo the Sky Warrior. Have you played it?
Yes.
Best game ever made?
Well, the Wii U version is a little bit questionable, though.
Yes, but it comes with the Wii version if you get the limited edition bundle, which is amazing.
You could say that's the last Wii game released.
They still make Just Dance.
That is true. Just Dance 2016 is out.
Why don't we just say that it's the last not rush to make money kind of game?
The last good game? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yes.
Let's say that.
I'm trying to be nice here.
No, but even without the Wii version, if you just get the Wii U version of Rodeo, it's still a good game, and it's very happy looking, and it looks very pretty.
I do say so myself, and the story is wonderful. I love the writing, I love the characters, they're all memorable, and then the ending, whatever.
Now, when it comes to exclusive games, which system do you think has the most to offer right now?
PlayStation 4.
Really?
Wii U.
Yeah, I'd have to say at this moment, the Wii U has the best exclusives, but I'm pretty sure that's going to change quite soon. I don't see a whole lot coming out for the Wii U in the near future, and there are so many cool PS4 and Xbox One games coming out soon. It's really going to make a difference.
Also with Rodea the Sky Soldier, the creator personally said that the Wii version is the definitive version of the game. So, talking about that, you can play the game on your Wii U with backwards compatibility.
Backwards compatibility is very important, especially to people like me who like to collect games. I love collecting games, and I have so many consoles just to play them. It would be nice if more game companies supported backwards compatibility. The Wii U is completely backwards compatible with the Wii, which is nice. Brought a tear to my eye that they dropped GameCube support, but I totally understand it. The GameCube is 15 years old now.
I thought when they were doing the Smash Brothers GameCube adapter, I thought they were gonna bring like GameCube, support, but back besides the controller, but nothing happened.
I call it the Smash Brothers adapter.
It is cool, though, that you can play any Wii game you want. Read that as, it's good that you can play Wii Sports.
Talking about the Wii backwards compatibility, you know how you go to the Wii channel? It has its own menu. You can also go back into the WiiWare shop and buy games from the WiiWare.
It's really cool because some games are not in the Wii U shop yet and are available as WiiWare. So you can actually go into the second Wii shop and buy them there.
I still find it ironic that if you have virtual console games on the Wii menu, you can play an emulator on an emulator.
Yeah, that is really funny. Not the only console that's ever done that. If you play a PS1 game on a PlayStation Vita, it emulates it as a PSP emulating a PS1. It's really funny.
It runs really nice. But the only gripe I have about playing virtual console games on the Wii menu on the Wii U is that some games have noticeable slowdown. If you are used to playing it on the Wii without the emulation, like being the Wii not being emulated, it definitely is a little bit of a draw.
The game I've really noticed that with was Super Mario World. In that game, you notice every single bit of lag that you get. Now, let's talk about the other interesting contender when it comes to backwards compatibility, the Xbox One.
You mean the system that you have to insert your disc and wait for it to download off of a server, and then it plays a Xbox One version of it?
Yeah, it's really weird. It kind of reminds me of the last generation when the Xbox 360 supported some Xbox games, but in the end, it only ended up being like half the Xbox games. So I knew a lot of people who had an Xbox 360 and they were really scared to buy original Xbox games because they're like, oh no, what if this game isn't supported by my 360? Christian, you're a big 360 owner. What did you think about the whole Xbox backwards compatibility?
It's I would say a bunch of crap sometimes, because not all of my games, like most of my games for the original Xbox don't work on the 360. But it's nice that, some of the games that do actually work, they look nicer. You can play them at higher resolution, and you can use the 360 controller, which is also nice, instead of using like an odd controller all the time.
And I think the Xbox One is going to go the same way. People are going to be very hesitant to buy Xbox 360 games to play in the Xbox One because of that same issue, not knowing if they're compatible or not. And I honestly don't think we're going to see that huge of a library of available titles. Right now, there are only like 15 games that are supported. My guess is by the end of the Xbox One's lifetime, about 300 of the over 1,000 titles available on the Xbox 360 will be supported.
And also, when it comes to the backwards compatibility, the studios or the companies that made the games have to kind of put support towards making it backwards compatible also, which I find kind of a shortcoming.
And we've also seen that quote-unquote supported on Xbox One doesn't mean the game runs flawlessly. Halo Reach, at least right now, runs like total garbage. It plays, you can play it, but the frame rate is so bad, it's not even funny.
I think it just takes a little bit of work in ironing out for the emulator and how that support and how the backwards compatibility will get.
And Halo Reach is a pretty big game itself, because I own it for the 360. I burnt the disc into the system so it loads much quicker. That took about a good 30 minutes just to preload it, to have it there in the system to load faster with the disc.
And with the emulator having issues playing Halo Reach, that's a big deal for that game. First-person shooters are right up there with fighting games, of games where lag is detrimental to playing.
I like to call those kind of games like Twitch games. Like, if you don't have the reflexes, or if there's anything to inhibit your reflexes, you're going to perform poor.
In general, the Xbox One's compatibility with the Xbox 360 titles is shaky and kind of unsteady, but it is there. Now let's talk about the system that doesn't have any native backwards compatibility, the PS4.
Man, I remember when I heard this as, oh, it's going to have PS3 compatibility or PS2, but not with the disc. It's going to be from the server.
Using PlayStation Now, which is, in my humble opinion, a steaming pile of garbage right now. The servers aren't strong enough to support lag-free gaming, and it's very expensive. It would be really nice if you could just buy a game in PlayStation Now and stream it, but you can only rent them.
It seems like PlayStation's always being attacked by hackers. So those kind of services, you would end up paying for it, but you wouldn't be able to use them.
That is true. You know, it's odd because the PlayStation 2 had full backwards compatibility with the PS1, right? The PlayStation 3, the early models had support for PS2 and PS1 games, and they dropped PS2 support with later models to make the console cheaper because it was $600 at launch.
They also had heating issues because they had extra hardware inside.
That's right. The PS4, though, has no native backwards compatibility, which I don't get that. I have never had a PlayStation device, excluding handhelds, that I couldn't put a PlayStation 1 disc in and just play. And you can't even do that on the PS4. How hard is it to make PS1 emulation?
Now, I think the reason why they didn't do the backwards compatibility is to not hazard the price even more. So it's cheaper for everybody to get.
The thing is, PlayStation 1 emulation is really easy, especially with the PS4 and how powerful it is.
If they wanted to save money, they could have just made the PlayStation 4 emulate a PlayStation 3, which could have emulated a PS2 or a PS1 easily. What I think it was, I think Sony saw their PlayStation Now service, and they thought, how can we make people use this service? Or for their new HD versions of PS2 games that run through emulation, how can we make people pay more for these games?
And then when it comes to the PlayStation 1 games, it becomes obvious to me.
And just rather buy a PlayStation 1 game from the shop instead of using PlayStation Now for a lot of money.
It makes me mad because Gran Turismo 1 and 2 are two of my favorite racing games ever on the PlayStation 1, and you can't even buy those on the PlayStation Store.
It's not a big deal for me since I own a PlayStation 3, a PlayStation 2, and a PlayStation 1, so I can still play my games, but that means I have to have more things hooked up to my TVs. And the less systems I have connected to my TVs, the better. Because I have so many systems, it's not even funny, and I don't know what to do with some of them. And I can't get rid of them because nothing new is out there that I could use to replace them. Like when the Wii came out, for a long time, I replaced my GameCube, put it in a box, and just used a Wii. Now that the Wii U is out and it doesn't have GameCube support, I've brought my GameCube back out and put the Wii in storage. But I can't do that with my PlayStation consoles. I would love to just have a PlayStation 4 and have it work with my PS3 games. But no, I have to have both.
It does get quite awkward that you miss out on having a unified kind of hardware because you'd think that the next step up would be able to handle the last step.
So when it comes to emulation, if we had to rank these three systems, I'd say the Wii U is doing it best, followed by the Xbox One, and the PS4 a very distant third.
I'd have to agree.
Next, why don't we talk about some of the non-video game features that each of these consoles provide? Let's see. The Wii U has an awkward social media site and come on guys, help me out.
It has applications like YouTube and Crunchyroll.
So does everything else. My phone has all of those applications.
But the thing is, the Wii U focuses on just being a game system.
That's right. The only real unique thing the Wii U does non-gaming is Miiverse, which I'll admit I really like Miiverse, but it is not for everyone. So if you're looking for an entertainment device, the Wii U is not your system. Now, what about some exclusive things the Xbox One has?
It's a DVR.
It is a cable box, that's right.
Man, you can just watch ESPN on it. You can watch all those sports. Like, you remember E3 back when the Xbox One launched? Sports.
Honestly, I wasn't sure if Microsoft at the E3 launch was trying to sell me a game console or a cable box for Time Warner Cable, which is funny considering the Xbox One looks like a cable box.
It would actually be kind of cool, though, if a cable company would pick it up, and then if you signed a deal, they would give you an Xbox One kind of like on a rental thing.
Don't give them any ideas.
But that would be amazing, because that would give me a reason to have one.
You can also browse through the internet with it, just like every other console. But you use Bing with Xbox One.
No thanks.
And I know how much everyone loves Bing, right? Bing is great. I love Bing. You love Bing, right?
The only reason I use Bing is for something unmentionable.
Oh, that's going to be cut. You know, great services just like Bing. You know what else the Xbox One has? You don't have to get it anymore, but there's this excellent thing with the Xbox One called the Kinect. Ooh. I love the Kinect. You love the Kinect. It's so bad.
It's always watching.
Oh, when Microsoft was really, really pushing the Kinect with the Xbox One's launch, I thought it was it for them. The Kinect is garbage, and I am so glad you can buy an Xbox One without one.
There's only one game I really liked with the Kinect. Dance Central 2. Don't judge why, but it's...
Oh, come on. Everyone loves Dance Central.
Exactly.
But it's not worth a Kinect for.
No, just the 360 with Dance Central 2 because it's cheaper than yes.
Most people are not going to go out of their way to get a Kinect for Xbox One.
Well, it has Skype, so Kinect would help with that.
Man, I just used my dinky headset.
Personally, I don't really like to have a system with Skype on it because I don't like having a conversation really, like the sound balancing on Skype and games usually I've always had with these Skype apps is that you can't understand what's going on. You can't really hear what your friends are saying and you can't really hear what the game is doing. So I like to have it from two different sources.
One thing I really was interested by with the Xbox One is you can fully customize the controller using software. So you can remap buttons. So if you want the X button to be the Y button instead, or the Y button to be the X button, you can do that. And the only other system I've ever seen that lets you do that was the PlayStation Vita. And it's a really cool feature, and I wish every console had it.
That is pretty fantastic. If you're used to like the controller layout of the Nintendo, you could set it up so that your X is a Nintendo X instead of, yeah.
It's definitely really cool, and I hope Microsoft comes out with a lot of other features that people go, oh, I wish every console had that. That's a really cool idea.
Talking about remapping in controllers, you know they have the Elite controller, which has like where your pinky and your ring finger are, there's buttons there now in that Pro controller. It's very interesting.
I think we'll get to controllers in a little while, huh?
Yeah.
Now, what are some of the cool features on the PlayStation 4? I mean, we already talked about PlayStation Now, which is horrible. Don't use it, please.
Streaming on Twitch.
That's right. The Xbox One also has streaming features. From what I've seen, they're much more user-friendly on the PlayStation 4. You can stream directly, and you can use the share button on the controller whenever you want to just start streaming, or even just record footage of something really cool you did 5 minutes ago.
Streaming to Twitch. That's amazing. But another good feature is that the PlayStation 4 is region-free.
That is true. Region-free consoles are a good thing, and I get really bummed out when consoles aren't region-free. I'm looking at you, Nintendo.
I think the greatest feature of region free is that there's a lot of these excellent Japanese games or even a few really awesome European games that don't get over to the United States. I love to import games.
Now, the one thing I'd love to see that they don't have right now is the ability to buy games off PSN that are from other regions. So if you live in, let's say, the United States, you can buy Japanese downloadable only titles or European downloadable titles, and it would just convert the currency for you.
That would be one of the greatest features if that ever happened.
When it comes to software, the PS4 is pretty convenient due to cross-buy and cross-save and cross-play, all those cross things. What it means is you get to share a lot of content between PlayStation devices. For example, I recently bought Don't Starve Giant Edition, which is an excellent game. And when I bought it on my PlayStation Vita, I got it for free on PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4 as well.
How about that PlayStation TV?
I have a PlayStation TV, and it gets used more than most of my other video game consoles, to be honest. Being able to sit down and play a PlayStation Vita on the big screen is wonderful. I know Darien had one too, and he got rid of his because he didn't really like it. But for me, personally, it's one of the best systems I own.
I find that contrast very funny.
Overall, which system do you guys feel brings the most to the table when it comes to interesting or unique features?
I would have to say the PlayStation 4.
So do I, PlayStation 4.
Interesting. I would actually argue that Microsoft has a lot of really good features right now, and they've got a lot planned, I know, for the future, like full Windows 10 support for the Xbox One. But they're pretty close, I think.
I just like how PlayStation 4 has these features like PlayStation Plus, where it carries on to all of the systems, all the way back to the PSP.
You know, it'd be really nice to see if Nintendo would step their game up with their services, because
Man, that Smash Brothers GameCube adapter. Ooh.
since we're all a bunch of cheapos who spend all of our money on games that we really don't need, none of us have that much spending money, right?
Right.
Left.
How you... why don't we talk about the price of the consoles? So why don't we start with just a basic price for the consoles, see how much it takes to even get that thing to sit in your living room. How much is the Wii U, Darien? You work in a game store, so you're pretty up to date with prices.
The cheapest bundle on the Wii U currently sits at $299.99, and that's actually between many of their bundles.
Yeah, the Wii U is pretty affordable right now. And how much is a Xbox One?
The price varies greatly between what you are getting with the Xbox One. The cheapest bundle is $350.
That's a pretty reasonable price. And what are we looking at for a PS4?
The PlayStation 4 is sitting around about $350.
I see. So it looks like the PS4 and the Xbox One are priced about the same, and the Wii U is a little bit less.
Right.
So if you're looking at price for the console, the Wii U is a little bit better, but not a whole lot. They're all pretty even. But what about some of the peripherals and whatnot? How much would be one extra controller?
For the Wii U, if you want to get a Wii U Pro controller, it's about $45. And if you have any Wii remotes laying around, you can use those with the Wii U.
That's really convenient because I've got a ton of Wii remotes, so whenever friends want to come over and play Smash Bros. Or Mario Party, they're stuck with them.
Yeah, so everything that you currently own on the Wii, or if you have a Wii, you can use with the Wii U if you need extra controllers. And most games support legacy stuff. But if you wanted to get like a Wii Remote Plus, because most Wii U games only support those, it's about $40 and a nunchuck is $20, but those are pretty universal.
Now, how much is a PS4 controller?
A PlayStation 4 controller is about $60.
That's pretty expensive, but it makes sense. They've got their weird light thing on the back and the touchpad. That all makes them quite expensive, I guess. And how much is an Xbox One controller? Why don't you give us the price on the normal standard controller and on that special elite controller?
It's about $60 for a standard controller, but it'll run you $150 for an Elite wireless controller.
If you can find one.
Yes.
They're in quite short supply right now.
And believe it or not, people are actually selling them to stores to be sold used, but it's really rare to see them actually like sit.
What is the price for a membership for each of these services? I know they charge money for you to go online or get free games or whatnot with a subscription. How much is that for Xbox Live?
An Xbox Live membership is about $60 a year, to about $25 for 3 months. For PlayStation, the PlayStation Plus is $9.99 a month, about $18 for 3 months, and $49.99 for 12 months.
So it seems like PlayStation Plus is a little bit cheaper than Xbox Live.
Yeah.
Not by a huge amount. And what about on the Wii U?
You need absolutely no membership to enjoy all of their services.
Right now, at least. I know there's been talks about them coming out with a paid subscription later on, but even with that, you won't need it to like play online multiplayer. It'll be for extra things like maybe free games.
And that will be pretty cool.
So overall, when it comes to affordability, Wii U wins with the PS4 in second just because of the online price being a little bit less, and then the Xbox One. Let's talk final thoughts. Which system is the best to buy right now?
I would honestly say the PlayStation 4, and then getting a Wii U is just a companion console.
I've heard the term companion console so much with the Wii U. Really, if you're a big gamer and you're willing to spend money on gaming, you either buy a PlayStation 4 and a Wii U, or you buy an Xbox One and a Wii U. The Wii U has a really good exclusives, and you go to the PS4 or the Xbox One for your third-party games, and a couple nice exclusives here and there.
I personally would do PS4 and Wii U, but that's me.
And those aren't your only options. If you want to just get one, if you're looking for fun multiplayer games, I'd say the Wii U. If you're looking for your more next-gen experiences, the PS4 is the way to go. If you're looking for Halo, there's the Xbox One. And there are other systems out there, too. I know many people who only own a gaming PC and a Wii U, or just a PC. PC is great, right?
Very customizable. So if you pretty much spend what you're getting on a PC. If you're only going to spend like $200 on a PC, you're definitely going to notice it because most games won't run unless you get really good deals on parts.
You should let us know which systems you either have or are looking to pick up in the near future online. You can tweet us. Our Twitter handle is @GamingBuzzPC, or you can let us know on Facebook, or you can go to www.facebook.com/GamingBuzzPodcast.
I would definitely love to see what people are looking to buy, and if we've helped you to be convinced on what would be a good choice for you.
I agree with you, Darien. I would actually like to know what games people really want to buy from what console.
Now, why don't we move on to the end of our show? We end every single episode of Gaming Buzz by saying the games that we're playing this week. So why don't we start off with Darien this week? What are you playing this week?
I'm actually jumping back, and I'm playing Spectros Beyond the Portal on the Nintendo DS.
Really? A DS game? And how is it?
It's probably one of the best games on the system. It takes place on like a behind-the-back third-person camera, unlike most DS games where it takes from like a top-down. It feels like you're playing almost like a PlayStation Portal game on a DS, which the DS usually wasn't too good at doing.
And is it fun?
It's really fun. It's like a collectathon game where, well, it's not really collectathon, but it's like a Pokemon in a way that you go around and you have to mine fossils, and then you resurrect these fossils with your voice. It's kind of awkward if you're sitting in the room with other people and you're making noises, because depending on the pitch of your voice can depend on like changing the color of the spectrobe when you resurrect it.
That sounds really weird, but really fun. I've seen the game before and just never picked it up. Maybe I will on your recommendation.
It is really fun. I mean, it's kind of weird that you can level your creatures up with fighting and feeding them. So if you want to level them up really quickly, just feed them a ton of minerals.
Wow, if only that worked in real life. I would be like level 175 from all the McDonald's.
Oh, and Spectrobes doesn't have a level cap of 100 like most RPGs that are collect games too. But the funny thing is, there isn't a set level cap on some, so some of them can go up into level 200s and some of them end at like 170, so confuses me.
Now, what are you playing this week, Christian?
You're going to be so excited about this one. When you play Mega Man Legends.
Newsflash, breaking news. This just in, Christian is playing Mega Man.
Wait, I'm supposed to do that since I do the news.
That is true. No, but honestly, I'm not surprised that you're playing Mega Man. A different one, though. You're not playing one of the main series games. You're playing a spin-off.
I am. The Christmas sale came up and it was cheaper than usual. So I was just like, I'm just going to pick it up and play it on the PS3 and the Vita.
That's pretty cool, though. I've never played any of the Legends games. I know they've got some really hardcore fans out there, and they seem fun. Have you started playing it yet?
I have, and I'm actually kind of excited. It's a whole new world and experience. I'm liking the characters. The voice acting is also amazing. So, Jacob, what are you playing this week?
Honestly, I don't know. I wanted your guys' opinion on that. It just got delivered today. Bought a really nice capture card. I bought an Elgato HD, not the HD 60. I wanted something that could also record retro games. And I'm really excited to test it out. I wanted some ideas for games I could play to test out the Elgato. What do you guys think?
I think you should play some Mario Maker because you could play our levels and then we could have people send us levels and then we could play them. You could play them.
You can try.
Yes.
I'll probably die a lot. That would be fun. Any other ideas? Maybe something more graphically intensive because, Mario Maker's...
What about that Metal Gear game? You love Metal Gear.
I do. I would love to play some Metal Gear Solid 5 with it. I'll probably play the PlayStation 3 version of it to show off the level of detail the Elgato can record. And I think next week I'll come back and tell you guys what I decided to play with it and how it went.
Sounds good to me, man.
Or play something sprite-based. That would be cool.
Yeah, just hook up the Super Nintendo of yours.
So what you guys are saying is I should play everything.
Yes, play a ton of things to test out all of its...
Great idea. I will play 1 minute of every single game in my collection. It'll only take
3 days?
7 years.
Oh. You must have gotten a lot more since I've been over there.
Only a few 20. Lots of games. Well, that's all the time that we have for this episode. I had a lot of fun, and I know you guys did too. Make sure to visit our sponsors to help support this podcast by visiting gamingbuzz.com/sponsors. It really helps us out to help us pumping out more episodes and lets us do some other things like starting up some videos on our YouTube channel, and it'll be really cool. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it on Facebook and Twitter with your friends and let other people see it. It helps us out. It helps your friends out. It lets everyone see Christian's wonderful lemon jokes. We'd really appreciate it if you write a review on the show on Stitcher or iTunes and help us out. You can do this by visiting gamingbuzz.com/7. That's the number 7. And as always, I'm Jacob.
I'm Christian.
And I'm Darien.
Thanks for listening to Gaming Buzz. New episodes can be found on gamingbuzz.com. Don't forget to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and subscribe to our YouTube channel.